morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I'm Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. So, this week on Comedy and Controversy, we're kind of going to run a few different aspects here, but the basic concept is idiocracy in this country. I mean, I'm dumbfounded as to how people really don't care, even when the truth is put in front of them. They just don't care. It's no longer about the truth. And we're going to point that out today. So fasten your seatbelts. Jeremy, hello.
Hey, good to be back.
Yes.
I am
Oh, my
excited about
goodness.
this topic.
Oh, Silicon Valley Bank. Thoughts on that?
I haven't even really looked into it yet. I read a little bit about it, but this whole bank stuff, whether it's crypto or actual banks, I'm like over it. I'm tired of hearing about it. You know what I mean? It's one thing after another.
I hear you.
It's rich people abusing other people's money. It's all it ever is.
Right. I was watching Steve Lookner on Agenda Free TV. He was covering it. And one of the things that he said is, if everybody goes to the bank and tries to cash out, it's going to shut the bank down because banks just don't have that cash on them because there's not that much printed cash in the country.
No. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And when my stepson and I heard that, we were like, oh my God, will people actually catch what Steve just said? Or is it just going to blow right by them? Because if everybody went to the banks, doesn't matter what banks, if everybody went to the banks and demanded their money, every bank would shut down. And then the FDIC regulators would come in and take over every bank.
Right. Well, that's what they're there for, really. When a bank defaults, they step in. But it's funny though. If I went to my bank and demanded what's in my bank account, they would probably just laugh at me and go, "Here you go. Here you go.
Same here.
Yeah.
Anyways,
a couple dollars, have it."
I bring this up because this leads into everything else that we're going to cover: idiocracy in the United States.
And like you said, it's like it's not even about the truth anymore. Like people are seeing the truth is slapping them right in the face. And I think it's to the point where people just don't want to admit they've been wrong for. Think about it, though. They've been lied to. This isn't like a little fib. These people have been lied to. This is going to go down as the greatest lie in American history.
Yes.
Easily. And I can't see anybody topping this. But this will easily go down as and Fox News is going to be the number one reason that the big lie was perpetuated as much as it was. And the reason people, I mean, they should be directly held responsible for people, the insurrection. They're the ones that spread all the bullshit information out there. They were like the direct pipeline of propaganda. And then now we find out they know they were lying the whole time.
I know.
And still did it anyway, despite the fact that it could have ripped the whole country apart.
And what's so funny is that they're exposing what behind the scenes in their text messages, what these hosts like Tucker Carlson are saying about Trump. And it's just like, and the people that follow Fox News, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Donald Trump, they don't care. They just don't. I just watched an episode of Bill Maher last night, and this is what they were pointing out. And even though I don't really care for Bill Maher, I don't like a lot of the. That's another story for another time. Anyways, they're talking about how people don't care about the truth anymore, and not caring about the truth, they're getting blindsided. And their rights are being taken away, and they're not serving their own best interest, but they don't care.
Right. I mean, I hope the fact that all this truth is finally coming out, because like I said, think about it, though. You remember, because we talked about this on our religion episode. Some of these people believe this wholeheartedly down to their core that the 2020 election was stolen. I mean, some of these people, I know for a fact, there are people in America that believed in Donald Trump so much they mortgaged their houses to donate to his MAGA bowel movement. I like to call it, because it's all it is. It's just nothing but shit.
I know, and people are
Now
gonna,
they have bombshells being dropped on them, like literal bombshells of the hosts they follow and believed for years. And now I think, honestly, like we're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, now that the truth's come out, she's not even acknowledging that the truth has come out. She's just double downing on all the bullshit. It's not like,
yes,
but
yeah,
how do you back out of a lie this big? You can't.
right. Well, and here's the thing, but before people are like, Paul, you're slamming on the Republicans. I could do a whole episode on Nancy Pelosi. I don't like her. I
Mm-hmm.
could do a whole episode on Gavin Newsom. I don't like him. I could do one on Adam Schiff. I could do one on Schumer. I don't like corporate politicians.
No.
And what's
And I
really,
usually,
huh?
oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
What's really sickening is that everyone actually thinks that it's about left and right, and that's where the problem is. That's where the problem is.
That
It's
really
not
is what the
about
problem
left
is.
and right. You're being made to believe it's about left and right when it's not, because they're all the same. They're all the same. So that's basically what we're going to show you on the show today, that they're all the same. The idiocracy, that you fall for the propaganda, all the red herrings that are being thrown out there, and you fall for them, thinking that your side is superior to the other side. And
Right.
in the
Right. People
meantime,
are different.
they're all taking away your rights. They're all taking away your rights. Go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry.
You're absolutely right. And me personally, anytime I see any kind of organization, and I would say this about the Democrats too, once you start banning rights, where do you stop? You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe right now it's books. And I mean, I didn't Biden pass a marriage equality bill recently?
Yeah.
And
But
then now
that's,
we have states going against I don't understand how
yes,
it works. Okay. But it's driving me insane that people are being picked apart, like Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal vendetta against trans people. Like, I looked this up, and she is on a rampage. And there's a politician that literally used the words eradicate
yes.
trans people, or eradicate trans from society. That to me is like some serious World War II Nazi terminology they're talking there.
It is. It is.
It's dangerous speech when people say that. And I don't care if you're for or against the subject. That is dangerous when people start talking like that. And when it comes to like, when you like, exactly, where do you stop? And I looked it up, like non-binary and trans people make up less than 5% of the American population. So they're literally focused, while they're focused on this is literally the small sliver of American population, nothing else is getting accomplished. Nothing is getting done for the American people.
Right.
You know, the other night, it should be focusing on bills. And again, if the Democrats were this way, I would say the same thing about them, but they're not. They're actually trying to be rational and pass things to try and help the American people. While the right, the MAGA Republicans, I call them, or now they like to be called, as Lauren Boebert like to point out, ultra MAGA, which is just even a dumber term than MAGA itself. But whatever, go with it if it makes you feel better. And nothing is getting accomplished for America. While they spent all this time on hating and banning and trying to create laws to suppress and oppress, nothing is getting accomplished in Congress that benefits America. Nothing.
Exactly. And I encourage everyone, congress.gov. Go to congress.gov. Look at the bills that are being written, okay? And don't just look at this new Congress that's in. Go back to the 117th Congress. Look at the bills that are being written. Because I even did an op-ed that nobody would publish because I pointed out how the Democrats have approximately 30 war bills, and no one wants to address that. You wonder why Biden's doing what he's doing here with Ukraine and China? It's because we want to build bases. Okay. So if you think that I'm picking on one side or the other because I don't like one side or the other, you're sadly mistaken. So I want to get that out there. I hate both sides just the same. Unfortunately, the right is illustrating the evil
Whew.
that we see every day. They're open with their racism and their bigotry and their
They really
xenophobia,
are.
and they really don't care who knows now.
Oh.
So just keep that in mind. I'm going to play a short clip here. It's the trailer to a movie that was
One of
done.
my favorite movies of all time.
This movie was written in like 2004 and came out in like 2006 or something like that. It was written by Mike Judge and stars Luke Wilson. It's called Idiocracy.
I'm trying not to laugh just thinking about this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
21st century, the Army began a top-secret experiment.
Meet Joe Bowers, our first subject for the human hibernation experiment. As you know, this is highly classified. However, if successful, we believe humans can be stored indefinitely.
However, the trial run was prone to human error.
See you in a year.
And Joe slept slightly longer than expected. Half a millennium, to be exact. From Mike Judge, creator of Office Space and Beavis and Butthead.
Oh my God!
If you were the smartest person in the world,
this goes in your mouth. This one goes in your butt. Hang on a second. This one goes in your mouth.
and were stuck with the dumbest people in history.
If you have one bucket that holds 2 gallons and another bucket that holds 5 gallons, how many buckets do you have?
2?
What would you do?
Excuse me, I'm actually supposed to be getting out of prison.
You're in the wrong line.
Anyways,
can you hear me? I had to turn my microphone off because that part just destroys me every time.
I know. I encourage you to watch this movie because it's like Costco is like the huge, big corporate entity, and they've taken like Starbucks, and it's now a whorehouse. And you just have to watch it, and it points out
insane. Now, keep in mind, I saw this movie when it came out in 2006, and I thought it was funny, but I was like, this is the dumbest shit ever. Every year I watch this movie, and it becomes more and more relevant every single year. Like, I actually got, oh man, I pissed so many, because there's a scene in the movie, because the whole movie, they can't grow crops. They can't grow crops. And it comes to find out they've been watering crops this whole time with a sports drink. And there's a scene in the movie where Luke Wilson is trying to explain to the United States government why the difference between water and watering it with the sports drink.
Supposed to use water. You mean from the toilet? Water,
right?
You mean from the toilet?
Like when water or plants, I was thought the stuff is called Brondo. Like it has what plants crave. It has electrolytes, and he's like, "Well, what is an electrolyte?" He's like, "Well, it's what they used to make Brondo with."
I know
that movie is hilarious. You have to watch.
Our country is headed towards this, and I'm going to play one more real short clip on this because Mike Judge went on Joe Rogan and interviewed him about this movie. And there's a short part in here about Crocs. And I want everyone to hear this because remember, this was done over a decade ago. I mean, almost 2 full decades ago. So,
oh yeah, it was 2004 when it was written, right? Or filmed.
Yeah, 2004 when it was written and filmed, and I think it was 2006 when it came out.
So it has been 20 years almost. Wow.
Yes. Yes, I know.
That's insane.
And
that's insane.
And if only people would have known that we were actually headed this way. Okay.
Hey, but this is 500. Hey, that's 500 years of the future. And I mean, you would not think 20 years ago, you would not think the stuff that's happening today would actually be happening. So,
yes,
as far-fetched as the movie sounds, be real serious about, like, because if we keep electing the wrong people and we keep defunding schools and we keep like we're putting more money into artificial intelligence and then less and less money into actual human intelligence. We're banning books. We're trying to put restrictions on what classes your kids can have. Like that's the stuff that's happening now that is going to affect our country 500 years from now.
Yes. I know. All right, here we go. Joe Rogan, Mike Judge.
Wardrobe woman, whatever, I don't know what do you, costume designer is the official title. She, you know, she had a limited budget also, and for the shoes, so we shot it in 2004. She tells me, okay, there's a startup, and it was Crocs, but they weren't out in the world yet, but it was a small company, and she goes, look at these horrible plastic shoes with holes in them. She said we could really save a lot of money, just put everyone in these things. And then I said, well, what if by the time the movie comes out, what if these become popular and people are wearing them? She said, oh, these are never going to become popular. No one would ever wear these things. They're horrible. And then, yeah, there you go. And then, but then it took 2 years for the movie to come out. Then people are going like, oh, that's pretty funny that you put everyone in Crocs.
They did kind of become popular, right?
Yeah. And then they're not around much anymore, but they were really popular.
They're really popular right now. They came back. They came back in the last like 2 years all of a sudden.
What do you mean? Who's wearing them?
Like Post Malone had a deal with them. I think Justin Bieber did too. People are putting like pins on them and stuff. They're very popular right now.
They're extremely popular now.
Yes, they're very popular. That's all I wear. That's all I wear are Crocs.
When I worked at the dispensary. I worked at the dispensary when I was working at the place helping grow weed. My one job I finally had in medical marijuana. I stood on my back was killing me, and I tried insoles, and in the end I bought a set of Crocs because one of the people recommended it. I'll tell you, it was the most comfortable shoe I ever had. Hey,
if you got back problems, put on a pair of Crocs, and I'm telling you, okay. My stepson for over a year tried to get me to wear Crocs. He tried to talk me into buying Crocs. And I continued buying my Skechers, and I was just like, I'm not going to wear plastic on my fucking feet. It's just not going to happen. So one day, he went out and he bought me a pair of Crocs. He asked me, he goes, what size shoes do you wear again? So he bought me a pair of Crocs, and because he bought them, I figured, okay, I'll try them on. Don't take the tag off so you can return them. I put them on. I cut the tag off and said, thank you. Now I have 3 pairs of Crocs, and I threw all my old shoes away. I will not wear anything else except
my God. Have you seen those ridiculous big red shoes like rappers and stuff are wearing now? Have you seen those? I mean, that is over. I'm drawing the line. When I saw I bought a pair of Crocs, I'm talking like last year. I resisted forever. I didn't care how comfortable people told me they were, but these big red shoes, they make you look like a Super Mario character. And people are paying like $350 up to $3,500 for these things. It's insane.
Yes.
So,
my stepson just watched something on YouTube and all that, and he was showing me these shoes that are just really big and doofusy, and it's like Crocs met Adidas or something. And anyways, they're a Japanese shoe, and they're like $700. And I'm just like, no way.
Yeah, you would be surprised, man. There's things people will go through for fashion, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like sneakers. You know what I mean? If I had money, I'd probably have the sickest sneaker collection in history. Well, maybe not, but I would have a ridiculous, because that's my thing. I love sneakers, man. I think because it's like an expression. You know what I mean? Expression of yourself. You wear a nice pair of sneakers. It's kind of like, it makes you feel good. But some of these shoes, and I'm 45. Maybe I'm just, like I said, there are certain subjects I'm not supposed to understand. Or 45. I'm 45, 35. Cut 10 years off my age right then. Look at that. Yeah, I'm 45. Maybe I'm just not meant to understand some of these things. So, well, yeah, I'm cool with that, though. You know what I mean? Anyways, I can still laugh about it.
Reason why I brought that up is that a lot of the things that he showed in this film are actually coming to pass, you know. And not that everyone's an idiot if they wear Crocs, but at that time, that's what they would have believed. But when you look at how the country is just becoming dumber and dumber, you know, it's like the intelligence level is going down. All right. And when you have a bucket with 1 gallon of water and a bucket with 5 gallons of water. How many buckets do you have?
Bucket.
And the majority of population misses that. Okay. Do you recall like when Jay Leno would have people go out on the street and ask people questions like, how many moons are there around the earth? And people would be like, I don't know, 3 or,
oh, yeah, there's other people that do stuff like that. And you'd be surprised the most basic stuff people don't know. But who do we blame that on though? I mean, do we blame, we could blame it on the school system, but we've been trying to defund the school system for decades. Like, it's like, I don't understand what,
and they have a bill.
This is, I don't understand what the right has. I don't understand what Republicans have against the younger generation because they're going to be the future leaders. I mean, I don't understand what their end game is.
Well, it's not just the politicians; it's also the people. Because
it is.
Right now, Congress has a bill up there to basically abolish the Department of Education. Okay, on the federal level.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that the Department of Education has very little power as it is. It's basically a funding process. And the one reason why they're trying to abolish the Department of Education is because one of the things that the Department of Education has authority over is to make sure that people aren't discriminated against based upon race, religion, disability, so on and so forth. So now if you take that out, they can now discriminate because it's left up to the states.
Yep, they can start segregating different schools. They can do whatever they want.
Right, and again, I don't care which.
And leave it out. They can leave it up to the state to do it. If they got rid of the national ordinance, if they got rid of that, then they can leave it up to each state to make the decision on what.
Yeah,
and that's just. And you see what happens at the state level right now.
Yes.
There is a lot of hate in some of these states, and some of the people that are in the office is scary. Right. It really is.
And I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. If you can't see what's going on, you need to start taking a deeper look. Instead of blaming the other side, take a deeper look at truly what's going on. Start reading the bills, start reading the legislation, and start seeing what they're actually doing, because it's truly not about left and right. It's about they are taking away our rights. They are trying to dumb us down, remove the Department of Education on the federal level. Look at what they're doing in the schools. Take away the funding from the schools, and now you got to close the schools. Now the schools are private. So now how do you put your child through school?
Right. Poor people then won't be able to put their kid through school. Then your kid won't be entitled to a fair education. And I mean, that's not
to the extremes. Oh, you think so?
You're damn right, because that's where this leads, man. This is where it leads. Banning, just imagine. All right, you're right. You might not be upset about the stuff that's being banned yet, but eventually something it's gonna affect you eventually, because they don't just stop at books. They, you know what I mean? Once it starts to the point where they get the power to do that kind of stuff, they don't stop. Once they realize they want to go back to the old ways, that's why I like Bryan Cranston explained racism perfectly in the United States. This is why Make America Great Again, the slogan itself is a racist slogan, because once you start telling people we're going to make America great again, when has it ever been great for anybody except rich white elitists in this country?
Right.
When has it ever been great for minorities in this country?
You can go back to the 40s, you can go back to the 50s, you can go back to the 60s. And America was great if you were white and male. Okay? If you were white and male, America was great. But everybody else, it was not great. It was not great. So if you want to make America great again, you're only making it great for one group of people, male.
Exactly. And that's not fair to the amount of people that are in America right now. And I always say it. I don't know if I came. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's North Carolina that are going to allow in their abortion bill, their anti-abortion, where you can't get an abortion. But now, if the mother's life is in danger and they have to abort the baby to save the mother's life, the mother can go to court when she's being tried for murder and plead self-defense. They're going to allow that.
What? I didn't read that. That's fucking crazy, man. That's insane.
Do you know that if you were to look up how many hysterectomies are occurring, women are getting hysterectomies because it's what's still allotted to them. They consider it a health risk, and doctors are performing it because if abortion is criminalized in your state, the only avenue you have left, because a lot of them are also saying that you can't get birth control and things like that. So what do you have left if you're a woman? A hysterectomy or move out of the state?
Yeah. Or,
And,
I mean, there's people, you know, there's always going to Mexico is always an option. But you see how that turned out for a few tourists here recently. You know what I mean?
well,
They went down for a procedure and ended up getting killed.
Right. Well,
But,
and there's
I
states
mean,
that are writing laws that if you go to another state and get it done, they're still going to hold you for murder when you come back to the
Well,
state.
see how that's what bothers me the most. Like, especially with the shit that's being gotten away with right now. Like, but especially Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's why I'm glad we're talking about her today, because I don't hate people, but it's hard not to hate this woman. It's really hard not to hate the pure ignorance of a politician that was elected by a group of people that listened to her ideas and were like, yeah, that sounds great. Nothing she said. I try to follow what she says, but nothing makes sense.
Well,
she attacks
let's
everybody.
Let's show it. Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene made a tweet. I was attacked in a restaurant tonight by an insane woman and screamed at by her adult son. They had no respect for the restaurant or the staff or the other people dining or people like me who simply have a different political view. They are self-righteous, insane, and it goes on and on. Okay. Now,
yeah, but
I know
we are not going to put up with hate in this country. She expects to be able to just get away with this shit.
Right. And that's where I bring up this point. During the State of the Union, she heckled the president. Okay.
What is she wearing, man? Right. I can't help it, man. Now, she looks ridiculous.
Here's the other thing I'm going to point out. We have her right here chasing AOC.
Yeah, play this.
Ocasio-Cortez, I'm an American citizen. I pay your salary through the taxes that you collect from me through the IRS because I'm a tax-paying citizen of the United States. So you
again harassing her. Okay. Yeah. And then one more. Hold on, one more. After the Parkland shooting, she harassed David Hogg, a survivor of the Parkland shooting.
If Scott Peterson, the resource officer at Parkland, had done his job, then Nicholas Cruz wouldn't have killed anybody in your high school, or at least protected them. Why are you supporting red flag gun laws that attack our Second Amendment rights? And why are you using kids to get to as a barrier? Do you not know?
Yeah, that's.
Look, I'm an American citizen. I'm a gun owner. I have a concealed carry permit. I carry a gun for protection for myself. And you are using your lobby and the money behind it and the kids to try to take away my Second Amendment rights.
So, again, she's complaining about being heckled while she's eating. And yet, she harassed AOC. She harassed David Hogg, that is a victim from the Parkland shooting. She harassed the president during the State of the Union. Just because we have different political views, you shouldn't harass me while I'm eating, but I get to harass anybody I want.
I know, exactly. Don't act like a complete ass and spread hate and fear. And she is especially responsible for perpetuating this big lie, because not only is she the QAnon queen, you know what I mean? They still, and even her and Donald Trump, Donald Trump, they still both spew this QAnon nonsense. You know what I mean? Even though wasn't QAnon labeled domestic terrorist organization by the FBI back in 2018 or something? Like, why is this even
possibly? But
and I don't. She's so detached from reality, and she's going into these. Like all these investigations are launching, every single one of them is blowing up in their face. The Twitter one blew up in their face because not only did what they were trying to prove not ever happen, they were trying to prove that Biden was trying to coerce, this whole thing with Twitter when in fact it was Trump who was the one, the White House reaching out to Twitter to try and get them to remove tweets that were saying negative things about him. And then she was blaming, I was talking to you about this earlier there, but she blamed the deaths of these 2 kids that died of fentanyl overdose in the North. I believe, I can't remember, but it started with Minnesota, I forget, Michigan, something like that. But they died of fentanyl overdoses while Trump was in office. Like, she does, I don't know if she just doesn't fact check or if she just throws stuff against the wall and hopes people don't fact check. But everything she says is just blowing up in her face. Everything they try. And I don't know if you heard about this one, but I guess, was it the Oversight Committee drafted? It was just a couple sentence statement denouncing white supremacy. It wasn't a bill.
Right.
It wasn't anything like that. It was just a statement
and denouncing
white supremacy.
Would sign it.
Not a one. Not one. That pissed me off so bad. Not one. Grow a spine. I mean, we have to unfortunately now endure 2 years of this. I have no doubt that some of the people who are in office right now won't be in office by the end of their term. That I have no doubt in my mind. And I hope some of them go down in flames for some of the stuff they've done, the lies they've perpetuated. They've ripped this country in half, saying they're patriots while doing everything opposite the Constitution, and then dragging naive Americans through the mud via Fox News. And then Fox News did it knowing it was all bullshit to begin with. Like, this is literally the greatest. They call it the big lie. It needs to be called the greatest lie in American history because it's what it is. I mean, how?
Right. But Jeremy, Idiocracy.
I know. I could scream all day long. I know. But I'm sitting here and Marjorie Taylor Greene's in Congress right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And it's up to people like us to run. We're going to have to run. We're going to have to get in there and we're going to have to make changes, you know?
Up until recently, I thought that was an insane idea for me to be in any kind of, but you know what? After recently, I think we need rational, honest people that have lived a real American life and know what it's like. Because we keep, let's be real. Most of America is poor as hell right now. Most of America is poor as hell right now.
Yes.
Okay. And it's not going to change if we keep electing people based on what they say during a campaign speech and completely disregard all the facts about this person in general, especially after they go into office. Like, look at their actions.
I know. But
and how can you say you stand for freedom if you want to ban stuff and oppress people? That's not what freedom is.
No, I know. But here's what we got to look at, okay? And again, this is why I point out it's not just the right. Again, the right, they're blatant and they're really outspoken now with their hatred towards groups of people. All right, that's a given. They're banning books. They're taking away women's right to autonomy. But you also have to look at the left. Okay, the left they're allowing stuff like this to happen for one. Like Roe v. Wade, they could have codified that multiple times. They chose not to. Biden could expand the Supreme Court. He could get a lot of things taken care of just by doing that. But he's not doing that. He could have put a halt to the filibuster. He's not doing that. When Obama was in office, same thing. When Clinton was in office, same thing. So, again, you have to look at where the money's at and who's out there trying to make the money. All right. We have a military war complex that we need to fund and keep going. And that's what they're doing right now. And what blows me away, because a lot of people are just like, well, the right is the military war complex. No, both are.
Yeah.
During Bush Jr., yeah. If you don't think Democrats signed on with Bush Jr., you're mistaken. Just like Republicans are signing on with Democrats right now for the Iranian Drone Act, for the Taiwan Supply Chain Act, for the Burma Act. Again, look these up, check them out. Look at what our country is truly doing. If you still think it's about left and right, you're mistaken.
No, because it's not. Well, it's about. I mean, it's always about money. We've talked about that over and over again, but it's like I feel like we're kicking a dead horse on that one. I mean, people know it's about money, but how do you stop something this big after it's been going for so long? It's like you know what I mean? Like our whole.
The people got to start standing up for what's right. And again,
but maybe now's the time, though. I think actually, I don't think people are going to stand up unless they see the amount of ridiculous hate that is going on in the country. And maybe it's good that some idiots are expressing themselves openly like this, because this is going to bring a lot more attention. Because I've learned things about, like we talked about CRT. I never really heard about CRT until, the right kept saying, why are we have to fight CRT? I'm like, why do we have to fight? What is CRT and why do we have to fight it? And then when I learned about it, I'm like, I don't understand why they're trying to fight. I understand why they're trying to fight it, but you know what I mean? They're actually perpetuating awareness without even knowing it. They're making people aware of topics that they were never issues before until they made them into issues.
Well, it's just like critical race theory was never taught in K through 12. It was, it was college, and they're acting like it's been taught on K through 12 for all this time, and they're brainwashing our kids. They're indoctrinating our kids. Again, a bunch of crap. All right.
Yeah.
And of course, you look at the book banning. You look at the don't say gay bills. You look at the things that are coming out against trans people. They can't get their hormones. They can't get their medical care. When you start looking at all these things that are being done, people that it's affecting are definitely going to stand up. And until something hits somebody that affects them, they really don't care. They're going to stand on board with it because they have their own prejudices. They have their own biases. They discriminate, freely.
That's what Derek Bell said.
Yeah. And
so they're not going to stand up unless it starts to affect them. Until then, they could really give a shit. I mean, he doesn't say it like that, obviously, but
right, exactly.
But he also
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, he also says, though, that the people that are being oppressed have to take responsibility in order to overcome the oppressors. They have to be heard. You know what I mean? They can't just let things go and assume it's going to get better. If we're being oppressed, like I'm talking like when I say oppressed, I think this whole country is being financially oppressed. All of us.
Oh, definitely.
And when I say that, you know what I mean? So in order for us to let the oppressors know we mean business until we come together as a people and overcome these little tiny differences that mean nothing. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know where like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know where she's going with this whole battle against trans people. She's not going to win in the end. I mean, I think the next 2 years are going to be brutal for a lot of people. And I think it's going to be hard to watch because let's keep in mind, Ron DeSantis, which I don't know if you saw the picture. All right, I got to segue for a second. Have you seen the picture somebody gave him? It was like one of those paper cutout snowflakes they made for him and framed it. And he was holding it up all proud of it, not knowing that she cut the word fascist into the snowflake, man. It's all over the internet right now. If you haven't seen it, you got to look at it.
I haven't.
Funny. Oh, my word. But you got DeSantis who wants to be president. You got Captain Crazy Pants, who I refer to Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's like my nickname for her. She thinks she could be vice president. You got, what's her name? Carrie Lake. Is that her name?
Yeah, Carrie Lake.
She's another crazy person that thinks she could be vice president. And these are all people that are still project that the lie, even though the truth has come out, they're still trying to push this lie that we all know now is bullshit, except for certain naive Americans that refuse to admit they've been lied to.
Jeremy, I'm going to have to disagree. I truly believe that a lot of these people actually know it's a lie. I truly believe that they know they're being lied to. and they don't care. Because it's
I
about
can see
winning.
that.
It's about winning. It's about winning. Okay. Take any sports event when a referee makes a call. People that didn't even see it are going to back their team. Okay. And they're going to say the ref is right or wrong based upon which team they're on. And they don't even have to have seen what happened. They're simply going to back their team. They don't care about what truly happened. It's about winning.
It's a good analogy, actually. You're absolutely, you do have a point. There are some people that just, I say they just don't give a shit. I mean, people that are out there that would rather see this country fall apart. You know what I mean? There's a large group of people in this country that would rather see, like, all right, let's talk. We can segue into the whole national divorce speech that she's been giving out.
Yeah.
Because that shit's got me heated. I mean, what does she think is going to happen? Like, and honestly, for the red states, if anybody's watching from a red state and you support this ridiculous idea, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think you're still going to have your constitutional rights if you break away from the United States? Like, do you think they just transfer over and all these benefits you enjoy? Because let's not forget, red states enjoy more government aid than blue states do. So that would be gone. I mean, what could possibly, and the only, I think you said it. I mean, I don't know if you said it before, but I think the only way that would be attainable is if there was a civil war. If that were to happen, you have no military. The military state, you don't divide the military up amongst the states. It stays with the union. So, like, what is the end game of this entire idea?
Confederacy.
Yeah. Okay. So great. You got a few psychos with AR-15s, and I'm not saying anything bad about gun owners because I, up until recently, because in Pennsylvania, you can't have a medical marijuana card and own a gun at the same time, if you can believe that or not, because I know the stoners are really bad people for whatever reasons, because it's still a class 1 drug. So I made a choice and chose weed. But so let's say you have a bunch of guys with AR-15s and some really cool stuff they bought. And maybe some of these guys are survivalists. You have the world's most expensive, thanks to Donald Trump, the world's most expensive military, because while he was in office, we have drones. We don't even have to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah, to get people pumped up about this, and Texas is like, yeah, let's do it. Stop.
Our government will never allow a civil war.
No,
because
how weak would a president look if they allowed that to happen?
It's not only that. How weak would the United States look if that began to happen? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with everything going on with Russia, Ukraine, Taiwan, China, North Korea, South Korea. United States doesn't want to open that door. So the United States will not allow a civil war to happen. And like you just said, if it comes down to where people want to get militant, the United States will just bring out drones. They'll bring out Scud missiles. They'll bring out whatever it is that they need to ensure that it doesn't go into that.
They would also have no economy.
Breadcrumbs. But I want to take it back a second. Here's the thing that the right doesn't take into consideration, okay? The amount of representatives that you have, because right now the Electoral College favors Republicans to some degree. They can't win the popular vote, but they can win the electoral vote. Now,
yeah, it's obvious because
that electoral vote is based upon population. Okay. And if people are moving from red states to blue states, that means the red states population is going down, the blue states population is going up, which means one state that may have 11 electoral votes may now have 12, and a red state that may have had 9 may go down to 8.
Yeah.
Well, you get enough of those numbers, some of those states that were swing states will become blue states, like Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Georgia's writing all these laws. Well, people will move. North Carolina's writing these laws. People will move. Tennessee's writing these laws. People will move. The more red states that do this and swing states that do this, people are going to move from that state to where it's still legal to get done what they want done, to where they won't be discriminated against for having for getting pregnant. They won't be discriminated against for being born a way that some people don't understand. They, again, that is going to change the amount of electoral votes. And when that happens, it will no longer be a red win with that. Blue will.
What was the other genius idea she had? If you came from a blue state into a red state, you couldn't vote for 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
There was another stupid stipulation that it made no sense whatsoever. But she is at the highest level of government. That's the tragic part. And she thinks, and what pisses me off the most is she's so detached from reality, and I can prove it because she's sitting there on television or on her whatever on the line, bitching about her job, about the fact that she only makes $174,000 a year. Like, are you serious? You expect sympathy and you make $174,000 a year, and you have probably one of the coolest jobs on the planet. The only reason your job sucks is because you suck at it. You know what I mean? All you're doing is you create all this chaos around you, and then you decide to blame it on everybody else. Oh, I can't believe they came at me. How dare they voice their opinion to me for voicing my opinion? Shut up. It doesn't work like that. Like, if you're going to really just go out there and be as ignorant as this, you're going to get it back. And the more and more people are getting sick of this stuff.
She plays the victim. She has to insist that she's right, and she hates her job. So pity me and vote for me. Give me more votes.
And then wasn't she speaker for the day?
I briefly saw something on that. I don't know the circumstances, but she may have been speaker for the day, or.
And you know what? I'm glad this
I think she sat in for the speaker for a day or something. But
well, she just in whatever, I forget the actual term for it, but she but I mean, everything is, like I said, even the whole Fox News footage release, I thought that was going to be a big problem. But the fact that they only released about 4 minutes of footage out of 40,000 hours pretty much tells you the whole story. And nobody took it seriously. I mean, they're like, a few people were like, oh, look, he was escorted. But yeah, look at the rest. What about the other 39,999 hours and 56 minutes of footage that we didn't see that Fox News has? That's the stuff they don't want us to see. So they're trying to perpetuate another false narrative,
right?
Because one is crashing. So now they got to try and quickly think of another one. And I'm glad if they fell flat on their face.
And they're saying, why did the Capitol Police escort him around? Okay, let me explain something to you. When you're vastly outnumbered, pulling your gun isn't going to save you. Okay. Yeah. It's probably going to get you killed. Okay. As somebody who, I was a bail enforcement agent, a bounty hunter, and my partner and I had surveilled this house for about 2 weeks and really stringently on the last 3 days. And we believed that the person that we were looking for was the only person left in the house. And we go inside the house and we were wrong. And we had like a 3-hour standoff with about 7 guns pointed at us. Okay. Oh. Now, according to the logic of these people, I should have just pulled my gun. No. I had conversation in the most polite manner that I could so that I didn't die.
You know what? If they would have shot him, then they would have been like, oh, look, they shot him. And they would have twisted it around the other way. But I'm actually glad it kind of just, and Tucker Carlson's been completely discredited, except for in the eyes of his most faithful followers. I mean, even they have to feel like, this is my plea to America, especially Republicans and MAGA Republicans, is like, Now can you stop being mad at us? Like, we're the ones that have been trying to tell you the truth this whole time. We've been telling you you've been lied to this whole time. And you've been yelling at us and calling us names and being nasty and being hateful. And now you find out we've been telling the truth. So stop hating on us. Be mad at Fox News. Be mad at people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. These are the people that helped organize and the whole insurrection. I mean, come on. I mean, why are they mad at us about this stuff? We never did any of this. This is all done by their own people. Their people they look to tell them the truth, lied to them, but they're still mad at us. Come on. It's time to stop. Like, my whole thing is it's okay to admit that you're wrong, but to continue to say you're right when everybody knows you're wrong, you just look like an ass. You just look like an idiot. I mean,
I know.
Yeah, I agree with Bryce.
Oh.
Hi, Bryce. He always hops on at 10 of and starts asking questions. I'm just playing, Bryce.
Well, Bryce, them escorting him around. I'm not going to say they were escorting him. Okay. They were trying to guide him, basically. And
right,
as I was just explaining, when you're in a situation where you're vastly outnumbered, you're not going to take somebody down. You're not going to try to throw them in cuffs. You're going to get hurt. You're going to lose. As someone that was in a situation that I just moments ago described, you try to be as kind as you can, and you try to treat them as civilly as you can. So I understand why, when you're so vastly outnumbered, why you would walk around with people, try to get them into a certain room. Yeah, they refuse to leave. You're not going to try to force them out because, hey, you still got people still trying to break in. So we can have a discussion.
And there was, I mean, the violence was undeniable. I mean, that people don't get injured the way they did by nonviolent means. I mean, it's just the fact that they try to downplay it is what I think would piss me off the most. Not the fact that they had the footage. Is they could have done, you know what? They could have aired the footage and be like, you know what? We were lied to. This is really what happened. You know what I mean? And they could have actually owned up to it, which I know that wouldn't actually happen. But no, they doubled down on it, on this whole lie, and try and downplay it. And I think almost everybody immediately started attacking them before. Even Republicans were like, the fact that you try to downplay this is despicable. Like, there's no journalistic integrity right now at Fox News. I don't give a shit who it is. If you work for Fox News, I feel bad for your career because it's probably over. I mean, I hope it is. You know what I mean? If you, some people are innocent within the. I'm sure it's a large conglomerate, but at the top, they ripped the whole country apart for ratings and knew it. They knew it. While they went home and slept with their big beds and their big houses and their big bank accounts and their nice cars, poor people, the majority of America, are committing violence, acting out on misinformation, attacking Democratic, like Pelosi's husband, that whole attack. Like, you know what I mean? They pushed all this stuff that's happened for the last couple of years. They've just pushed it and pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. I am so glad it's blowing up in their face.
Right. No, Bryce said, I get it, but the committee should have spoke to that. I agree. The committee should have spoke to that because if the committee would have spoke to that, we wouldn't have had this whole footage thing with Tucker Carlson right now. And if we did, it would have already been explained. But yes, they needed to explain that. I agree, Bryce. I agree 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But unfortunately, I think we're going to have to endure a lot of crap for the next 2 years. I mean, it's only been a couple months, man.
I think this is going to last more than just a few years, Jeremy. I hate to tell you. I think we're looking at probably another decade of just turmoil and tribalism that and until there's something that brings people together, until the oppression becomes so severe that people are finally sick and tired of it, or until just something will bring everybody together. And
There
every
has to be a
time,
common cause. I
well,
believe there is. I believe there's a common thread for everybody, but we just haven't found it yet.
and I hate to say it, I truly believe that if things escalate with China and Russia, I think that might be the one thing that may do it. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want people to have to die so that there can be peace in America.
I know. Isn't that getting old? Isn't that getting old? We always have to have violence before peace, and violence just pauses more violence. It just gaps between violence is all it is. Until we start trying something different, it's just going to be a cycle. You know what I mean? We continue this cycle of violence, the cycle of hate. We continue it. We got to break the cycle eventually.
Exactly. And I think one of the big key things is that people need to start reaching across the aisle, putting out that olive branch, and start talking with each other, having a conversation. Please. Leave your biases aside, enter into a conversation, a good faith conversation with an open mind. And instead of trying to prove yourself right, try to prove yourself wrong. Because when you can prove yourself wrong, then, well, guess what? You're not in the right. You're not on the right laneway.
But you don't grow without. If you're right all the time, or want to believe that you're right all the time, you don't grow as a person. You just stay the same. You know what I mean? You're not.
Yes, you're stagnant.
And you'd be surprised. The things like I've had certain beliefs some of my life, and some of the things I've learned over the years have strengthened. Some of them have completely blown things out of the water, but some of them actually strengthened my belief in humanity, strengthened my belief in whatever. So it could go both ways. Just like Paul said, keep an open mind, man. What's the worst that could happen? You learn something new. You become a little bit more aware of the world around you, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Open your eyes, man. There's a lot going on out there, and people are, I think, either choosing to stay ignorant or just ignorant.
Well, people don't like to be wrong. They have shame when they're, when somebody can show that they're wrong, there's shame with it. And if you truly open up your mind, you shouldn't have shame when you find out that you got something wrong. You should be happy that you can now get something right.
Yeah.
You point something out where I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, hey, educate me. You are going to make me happy with that, because now I'm getting more information and I can learn something more. I can better myself. I can be a better human being, But if you want to sit there and stick with what you believe to be true and not have a conversation, you're only hurting yourself in the end. You're only hurting yourself.
Right, because progress is going to happen whether you like it or not. And you can be part of it, or you can just stay where you're at, and progress will keep going forward. Some people will get left behind if they choose to remain this way. Some people will be left behind.
And even if your hatred that you have for a group of people or whatever continues on during your lifespan, just know that down the road, somewhere along the line, there will be peace and harmony on this planet. Every country, sometime, someday, there will be no borders anymore. Everybody will be friends with everybody. And I hope I see it in my lifetime, though I doubt it. But, oh my God, if I were to see that in my lifetime, I would die the happiest man on earth.
That would be nice. Right now, it's a mess, though. We've got a lot of work to do.
It is. We are headed towards that state of idiocracy. We truly are. People just really need to take a look at what's going on. And, let me see another clip here that is funny as hell.
But yeah, if you haven't watched that movie, definitely watch Idiocracy.
Yeah,
it's a laugh.
Yes, check out Idiocracy. You're gonna love it. It will be funny as hell, and
it's outrageous, but it is funny.
Yes, and you will see a lot of the things that it's what's really hard to take in is the fact that this is becoming a reality. The movie Idiocracy is becoming a reality. And if we keep going on the path that we are, that is where we'll be. And we're not going to have God dang it.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. We're not going to have Mike Judge come back, and we're not going to have Luke Wilson come back and save us.
No, no, definitely. Let's try to stop it right now. Let's see if, hey, but we got to start, putting more money into human intelligence and education, not less. That's kind of the beginning of it, I think.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of things that need fixing. It's not just one thing. Fixing one particular thing isn't going to solve all the rest. It's got to be an across the board, like a 80 to 90 percentile of the things that are wrong have to be fixed. And if they're not, we're still going to remain stagnant.
I think it starts with the American people. I really think it starts because we keep waiting for the government to unite the people and become united. And I don't think it's ever going to. Well, if it does happen, it's not going to happen for a long time.
Right.
So they got the people have to own up to a certain level of responsibility. Like if we want a better country, it's up to us to stand up and say, "Hey, we've had enough of this nonsense. We're not going to take it anymore."
And while we still have a constitutional federal republic, we need to make those changes now, because if we don't, we're headed to a new form of government. We have a constitutional federal republic will collapse. And
really think if you want Marjorie Taylor Greene as vice president or Carrie Lake, I mean, come on, don't just stop. Just no. I will not know.
Well, Trump is getting up there, and if it's Trump and someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, there's a good chance, due to health reasons, Trump would probably step down, which would leave us with Marjorie Taylor Greene as president.
That is a scary thought. Wow. I didn't even think of that. I did not even think of that. Hell no. Come on. No.
I got to point out the obvious, because right now I believe that Biden within the next probably 6 months is probably going to step down, and Kamala will probably be president. And really? I don't like the idea of her being president either, So
yeah,
I mean, I'll take her over Trump, but I'm not a fan of her either,
I'm thinking though, what I'm hoping is over the next 2 years they make enough of a shit show, which apparently they're just completely devoted to doing, that people are just going to be, I think even some of their most supportive people are going to jump ship over the next 2 years, because a lot of stuff's coming out, even with Donald Trump right now with this whole Stormy Daniels case. Like a lot of stuff's coming out that we haven't even heard about yet. Like we've been hearing about the big stuff, but there's a lot more going on that we don't even know about yet.
Donald Trump has done a lot of firsts, maybe not a lot of good ones, but he's done a lot of firsts. First president to be impeached twice, just so many things. I think Donald Trump is going to be the first person elected president from prison.
You can do that. You can run
from prison. I think we've had 2 people that have run from prison. I think he'll be the third one to run. I think he'll be the first one to win.
No way. I don't know. I can't. No, never.
You heard it here first on In the Moment.
Never.
Paul J. Sisler says it.
If that happens, I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong, but I refuse to believe that's going to happen. No.
I hope I'm wrong.
If that happens, I will go to prison no.
I hope I'm wrong. I've made a lot of predictions. I've been right on a lot of things. I've had things wrong, which, hey, it can happen. But I look at the patterns, I look at the legislation, I look at the things that are going on, and I I put my thoughts out there. And for some reason, I think Donald Trump will be the first person to win the presidency while in prison. And then, of course, they're going to have to let him out to operate the office. And that will be the last presidency this country will see.
That'll be the end of America. If
Oh,
anybody,
no, it'll be the end of this form of a government and this end of this.
Well, that's what I mean.
Of America.
That's what I mean. That would the end of America. America would not exist. It would just be a complete nationalist state. It would be ridiculous.
All right. Well, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it doesn't happen. So, with that said,
you better be wrong. If you're right about this, I would be really upset with you.
All right,
like, you jinxed this.
All right, everyone. Remember, be kind, be happy, and may good things come your way.
I'll see you guys next week again. Yep.